Welcome to the island of misfit CDs. Today we're setting sail into uncharted waters. We're checking out a little band called Sukia. Bet you never heard of them? I'd never heard of them until I picked this up at a thrift shop. It caught my eye, I was interested. I'm willing to cough up a couple bucks for something interesting. Sukia, Nickelbag Records, released in 1996 out of California. Leftfield, experimental. This is unique. I'm pleased to say that this is a great way to start off this channel. This is an album that really has to be broken apart piece by piece. I can't really sum it up as a whole other than an electronic surfer vibe that hops from decade to decade using all kinds of different styles and influences from all over the place. Added on top of that is these electronic interludes, undercuts that kind of come out of nowhere, interrupt what was going on, and introduce a new direction to what you thought you were getting into in the first place. That being said, let me just get into it and hammer it through track by track and let you know how this thing shapes up. I'll try to be brief enough, but it's tough. These tracks become a little difficult to sum up in a sentence or two sometimes. Feelin' Free is the name of the cut. It starts off smooth, atmospheric, lulls you in, it's chill, it's a good vibe, and then boom, jarring, and a spank me little vocal lo-fi interjection that catches you off guard no matter who you are the first time you listen to it. Besides that jarring interjection, great horns, cascading synths, it's a cool vibe, but man oh man, right away the band's telling you that you're not allowed to get an expectation for what's to come at any point during the runtime of this album. Moving on to Dream Machine. It's a Latin flavored lo-fi surfer vibe that's all topped up with yet another blaring interjection that's not as jarring as the first, with little trumpet. I could probably play it, not. The blaring trumpet once again makes you feel like Sukia is sending a mixed message with this album that keeps you on guard, even though most of the sounds are kind of soothing and chilled out and beachy flavor. Pleasant atmosphere, really. On top of all the things that are going on, it's accompanied by a hypnotist and lulls you some more and comes back in with the regular groove and vibe that blares back at you with the trumpet again. Each track here is a bit of an experience. This one certainly creates the atmosphere that can grab you and take you for the ride. It maintains that surfer vibe, but shifts it more into a 70s Californian flavor with the next song, Vaseline and Sand. Sort of reminds me of Sand in the Vaseline, if you heard of that Talking Heads compilation. This feels almost like a backtrack to a Bond film that was never released, with influences from all over the place, with sitars and horns. It takes you kind of all over the world, but you still feel like you're sitting in a 70s convertible cruising down the beach. The song eventually transitions into more of an electronic feel, of a futuristic electric butterflies feeling that sort of tingles out at the end, that brings you right into the next track, Play Cult, that levels up the album another decade to almost a more disco vibey feeling. Starts off with the feeling of that laser butterflies from the previous track and experiments with it, toys around with it, but it inevitably fades it away and introduces a new thing halfway into the song that's more of a bumpin' beach vibe with weird little walkie-talkie interludes, and just there's all kinds of strange little samples and such in the mix that for the most part tend to add to the album experience, but sometimes it really, as I think by design, takes you out for whatever reason and makes you have to step away from the music for a second for the first couple listens. This one has all kinds of sounds and experiments, and it really does encompass the whole left field experimental vibe of the album. That being said, it's definitely not one of my favorite tracks on the album. It's followed up by another multifaceted but more ominous track. It starts out with another lo-fi, strange vocals extravaganza, and then about 3 minutes in, it transitions again like the last song, but this time back to the futuristic electronic dance music that you got little taste of before. The title of the song is then realized with the catchy repetition of it over this dance house inspired beat. It then takes those futuristic sounds up a notch to a almost robo duet, maybe robo ballet on Mr. Robot. It's got a smooth, funky bass line and soft, sweet vocals that are backed up by all kinds of weird buzzing and electronic beeping and booping. This is one of the few tracks that holds steady, builds to a celebratory conclusion, and feels like the idea was almost fully formed and fleshed out instead of just a snapshot of an idea that's something interesting that they wanted to try out. This leads into probably the biggest dud on the whole track list for me. We have the technology, which is a long-winded, slow, awkwardly glued together track that includes NASA comms of a moon landing or something. Either way, moving on to a totally different thing, which is almost a new wave electronica, grungy. I don't know what this thing is. This one's called Touching Me, Touching You. It's a synth-heavy guitar back track that rocks up until the inevitable change up. Right near the end takes you to a strange place that feels like being sucked into a portal onto like a live porn shoot or something. It's uncomfortable, I guess, unless you're into that kind of stuff. Something that I'm sure has been done plenty of times, but I'm kind of ignorant to it, I guess. A song that's named after the band. That being said, you'd kind of expect something weird, jarring, jumping all over the place from what I've described, but this one actually holds a steady groove throughout the entirety of the track. It's spacey, slow, and it has these dubious horns that creep in through the brooding bass line. And something that I haven't mentioned but is present in quite a few of the tracks is just the classic talk 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 of a woodblock. Of course, it is tangled amidst a bunch of electronic interjections and funky sounds, but it stays true, it grooves through. I like it. Finally, a bit of a sonic reprise. This is the second to last track. It's called Amok. It takes you on a trip guided by some elder of sorts, maybe a shaman, taking you up into the jungle and going through some sort of ceremony and then taking you back to the beach. It's full of all kinds of jungle noises. It builds and there's chanting and all kinds of fun sounds and guttural noises, but for the most part it's just a standard drum beat, bumps along, speeds up, slows down with you. It's a fun reprise really from the rest of the tracks and is quite calming amidst the rest of the chaos. The calm, soothing end at the ocean from the last track is too short-lived as you screech back into a car chase that is Dirty Afro, the final track of this absolute experience of an album that clocks in just under an hour. It's narrated by a vocal repetition of "Keep on keeping on, Dirty Afro" and "Watch out!" complemented with sirens and horns that make it just feel, again, like another scene in a movie. The backbeat and the bass hold steady throughout the entirety of it, up until the explosion that is the finale of this album. I'm certainly glad to have picked this up. When I opened it up for the first time, saw this sort of flamboyant man with a chihuahua, tried to find any information, you get a dozen tacos that just tells you to enjoy. And that's kind of the music I'm sort of looking for, is something that gives you some sort of expectation, because I need something to look at and something to grasp at, like a bunch of hilariously titled songs or just a weird name of a band I haven't heard of. Really, I'm just looking for obscurities, maybe just little diamonds in the rough, something that people didn't have much space in their lives for anymore. Probably not make too many appearances in the CD
player,
but I'm gonna pop them out once in a while just to kind of confuse my friends and maybe just my dog. If you made it this far, thanks so much for watching. Give me a like and a subscribe, and I'll hit you with a bunch more videos. If you're interested in listening to this or anything else I review, you can find it
below.
If not, send me a message and maybe I'll be able to send you the CD physically, because physical media for the win. Take good care, everyone. Hope to see you next time on one one man's tracks.